A good warm welcome here at Cape Town International Convention Center on the sidelines of the G20 meeting of the finance ministers who are discussing the way forward on the G20 agenda. Of course, the African leaders also on the sidelines are discussing a new initiative, a first for the African continent, on a way of advocating for debt relief for African countries, which seems to be a crippling crisis. Of course, they've made a declaration here in Cape Town. And now joining me is former Vice President of Nigeria, Mr. Yemi Obisanjo. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Firstly, this declaration, what does it aim to do?
Well, I think the declaration itself is meant to give notice that African leaders have come together to address the question of debt relief. And I think that it is timely in the sense that Africa is experiencing the worst debt crisis in 80 years. Many countries, and some might say most African countries, are spending far more on debt repayments than on health or education or climate. So we're in dire straits. African countries are in dire straits, and I think that the gathering of former African leaders, former African presidents, is one which signals the beginning of very intense advocacy on what to do about debt relief.
You talk about you want a restructured debt and also the suspension of debt. In practical terms, what are you looking to get, essentially?
Mm-hmm. So there are two pillars to this initiative. The first is debt restructuring for highly indebted countries. And in that context, we're looking at a situation where we're able to deal with all creditors at the same time, private creditors, bilateral and multilateral creditors at the same time. The second pillar is a reduction of cost of capital for African countries, in particular for developing countries. We think that this is crucial because if you are not able to reduce the cost of capital, then it's a vicious cycle. You're back to debt very quickly. Because at the moment, as you know, depending on which sort of borrowing you're looking at, African countries in some cases pay 5 times, 6 times, 7 times more than other countries in other zones of the world. So cost of capital is crucial. If we are not able to get cost of capital down, even if we do get debt relief, then we're very quickly back to a debt situation.
Of course, this debate has been going on for some time, and I'm sure you're trying to use the presidency of South Africa within the G20 to try and push this agenda. Are you hopeful that you may be succeeding with these multilateral institutions?
Yes, I think so. We're greatly heartened by President Ramaphosa's support for the African Leaders Debt Relief Initiative. We met with him the day before his speech before the G20 finance ministers, but also in his speech he made the point that he would support the initiative, this debt relief initiative, and he believes also that debt sustainability is an important aspect of the whole matrix of economic revival for Africa and all that. Also, the appointment of Mr. Trevor Manuel as the debt distress czar is important for us because he's a very experienced bureaucrat and is one who we think has the weight and reach to assist in our negotiations and the sorts of advocacy and contacts that we'll be making across the globe. I think that the multilaterals will be very interested in this because it's in everyone's interest not to have an insolvency crisis in Africa. There are those who have tried to characterize this as just a liquidity problem, and also if we just give a little more liquidity, it will solve the problems. But this is a potential insolvency crisis.